From Brandon Valley High School here in Brandon, South Dakota, this is Brandon Valley Lynx football here on Lynx TV. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Kyle Roque alongside Ken McCune. And Ken, we don't have a ball game today, but we saw a ball game last night, the 11 AAA state championship between the Brandon Valley Lynx and the Washington Warriors. And the Lynx get it done. They win 28-22. They are the state champs. How about that?
Man, how great was that?
Oh.
I was there, and I know you were watching it on TV last night, and I'm sure a lot of you were there or either watching it on TV. But the crowd was amazing. The support from obviously the students, and then the support from the community, the families, everybody that came out last night. And truly, if you looked at the stands last night, and I know a lot of people last night weren't able to look at not the students section so much, but the fans, and besides the students. And I would assume or guess that we had at least, I'm not going to put a number to it, but at least a quarter more fans in the stands. And the community just came out, and I want to point out one thing today is that how, and you grew up here, Kyle, but how special this is to this town, this community, Valley Springs, everything that goes into it. Lynx, they always talk about the Lynx Way, in school and all these things that are going on, and to know that it's been since 2003 that a big school or a school outside of, let's just say, the bigger schools.
Yeah.
One, I saw that in a tweet earlier today.
Right.
Since Spearfish in 2003, so you're looking at 15 years.
Crazy.
But hats off to not only the students, the student athletes, but hats off to the coaching staff.
Oh.
I'm telling you,
game, my friend.
The tingles that came through my body when in coaching with these guys in the past, and knowing how much hard work they throw into this whole thing, and knowing the off season and knowing all this stuff, they deserved it so much. And Kyle, when we started the season, the two losses to Washington and Roosevelt, it started us off kind of in a negative point in the season. And we always talked about on Lynx TV was that traditionally our teams, sometimes we'd start out fast, but even if we didn't start out fast, we'd always finish pretty strong.
Yep.
But we never closed the deal. And especially in AAA. Obviously, It's been 3 years now, fourth year in AAA, I believe. Or maybe it's the third year now AAA has been in existence, the Metro. But the coaching staff to take a younger group, okay, and there's quite a few seniors too, but take that younger group and from when it started to finishing, and we're able to have a celebration in this gym today, it's just amazing.
It is. And you talked about the coaches, and obviously the players played great. The coaches, their game plan was so strong that, they held Tupac Capay. Like you said, he did have over 100 yards, but they were really able to neutralize him. They got Johansson, Washington's quarterback, to throw the football, and it came into the hands of Ethan Tellinghuse. And how many times do we see that this year?
Right.
Just the splash players making the splash plays, the guys under the radar doing their job. Matt Christensen and Jeremy Risty and Chad Garrow and all the other coaches that have coached together for how many years, it all coming together in one night. And it just felt like it was just it felt like, talking about 20 years of anger, 20 years of fire, of wanting to win, just blew out onto the field last night in Vermilion, and a well-deserved victory for the Lynx. Tommy Skolton playing great. Johnson had, I think, 144 yards rushing, and he was able to seal the deal when the Lynx got the ball back on the 4th down stop. Defense was just unbelievable last night.
It hasn't been all year.
And yes, it has. Absolutely.
They've really leaned it on that defense for majority of the year. You should say all year. And the two running backs and Tate Johnson and Jesse Steffel, you know, and that was kind of Lynx football this year. Is that they obviously the coaching staff said, okay, Thomas, don't go turn the ball over. Okay, manage the game well, because we have a strong running attack, and to me, and I'm going to say it, we have the best defense in the state. That defense, the 2018 Lynx defense was number 1, period. End of story. I thought Roosevelt in the beginning of the year was top notch, what they did to Washington in their game, in game 1.
And us.
Yeah. But we really grew as a defense, and the other thing that goes unnoticed, and Lynx TV, Kyle and I have touched on hundreds of times, is this: that offensive line for the Lynx. What do you say? That group. I know there's a couple seniors that are going to be off that group, but the glue is Halverson. Yeah. The glue, the center. He got I believe it's lineman of the game. Okay, and deserving so. Usually centers, we all don't look at center. And most of the time, as a fan, you don't look at centers.
Right.
But he's the glue. He was such the glue, and I talked to some parents and some people at the Brandon Valley Journal and stuff like that last night, and they really said he is that glue to that team. And so the offensive line, we talk about all the skill positions, and Olthoff, and had a tremendous game again, but to get your running backs, I think we were at probably rushing right around 150 to 160 in the game, and we saw that all year. And then to have Thomas Skolton bounce off of that, because now your linebackers got to sit there and watch the run. They can't blitz.
Exactly.
So your offensive line's the one that took control of the ball. And we always said, Kyle, didn't we? We always said, if you win up front, you're going to win football games. And that's what they did.
Yeah, and like you said with Jack Harvison, I couldn't help but notice it during the game. They just kept running straight up the gut over and over and over and over again. And, it's great to get Johnson in space, and Steffel's more of a, he likes to get in the trenches, but they just couldn't stop him. They couldn't stop him, and it's nice to get Johnson in space, obviously, but, they were running up the middle, and they were getting 7-8 yards a chop.
Right, last night I had the privilege of being on the field and during the game on the sideline, and I was in the end zone sometimes, and I'd watch the Lynx offense from the back of the end zone, and the holes that those kids had to run through were tremendous. So hats off to that offensive line, and hats off to the Lynx team, the Lynx coaches, the administration. Okay, the Lynx, Mr. Marceau and his assistants, and everybody that falls underneath that massive umbrella. To go into the biggest league, and we petitioned up. Remember back in the day?
Yeah, we had to fight for it.
We petitioned up because we wanted to compete with the big boys. Okay, they call it the Metro Conference and AAA and whatever they call it. We just call it the big boys. Okay, the ones that, they're always a little bit faster. It's Sioux Falls, and we wanted to compete with them, and now we took them down.
Yeah, we beat them.
I mean, how does that feel?
With them.
I mean, you sit here and get goosebumps, and hopefully at home and wherever you are, you're getting goosebumps too, because this is real. This is a real thing. This is happening on a Sunday at 3:00.
Yeah, and it's something that you mentioned. We don't want to take anything away from Washington. They've had a great season. They played so tough, and all these Sioux Falls schools, they're always right near the top. But I don't think that if Washington had won this game and won the championship, I don't think it would feel the way it feels for Brandon, just because we're not one of the schools in Sioux Falls. We are our own entity. We are representing the town. And I would love to see how many people, first of all, were at the game, because you told me it was a ton, but how many people were tuning in last night. We talked about it. I mentioned it in the second quarter. All my friends were saying, who's that kid? Who's that guy? Oh, that's Tate Johnson. Oh, that's Jesse Steffel. Oh, that's Ethan Tellinghuse. As important as it is for them to, know their names while they're watching the game, when it comes down to it, it just doesn't really matter.
Right.
It doesn't really matter in a way, because they're going to watch because they're Lynx alums. How many people were texting me and tweeting me and Snapchatting me during the game? I couldn't believe it. Kids I hadn't talked to in a long time were telling me, like, oh, man, this is great, from everywhere around the country.
Right.
And it just felt, for a minute like we were in high school again. And it felt really, really good, even 6 years out, to get the win. It felt so good. And, we've had a couple of baseball championships here. We had one this year already for the baseball team. And I remember the state girls championship in 2011 was just awesome. It was one of the greatest weekends of my life. And
track and field had a championship this year. And I was told at coffee this morning at church was that they think there's like 5 to 7. And I apologize, folks, and we apologize that we're not able to tell you the whole list. But the championship pedigree that the Lynx have, and Kyle just pointed, at the banners that are hanging up. And when you come into this gym, you see banners. And that's a tradition. And as a Lynx alumni, yourself and my wife is, and now my kids are embedded into the Lynx program, is that it's just a really good feeling. It's a really tight community, really good feeling. And that's why I pointed out in the beginning of this program is that the amount of fans that made the trip, and I know it's not a super long ways, but you took your time out of a Saturday night that you have a lot of things going on, and it's such a tremendous thing to be able to bring this home, and now bring this home to the community, and now celebrate with these seniors and this football team and this coaching staff. And I talked about administration. I know they're showing on the screen right now, folks, is all the banners, and that line's a gym.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of schools that I can think of when I walk into their gym and it's from track and field. We see Lady Lynx cheer, we see dance, we see golf, basketball, and now football and all these things that come to play. And I even look at the far left over here, Kyle. In 1984, the Lynx tennis team. And so that's just a lot of championships, a lot of good feel, and just be proud. Be proud that we're able to not only be a part of, and I know always football gets the headlines, and that's kind of the way it is in any even in college, and but as a whole, this is a championship city.
Feels good. And here's the deal. This is why we're here. We wanted to just break down the game for you real quick. And the Lynx football team will be coming out, and I'm sure that Randy Marceau and Chad Garrow, maybe a couple of players might say a few words. We'd like to thank our sponsors for this today, the Harry Buck team at Hague Realtors, Alliance Communication, McKinney Olson Insurance, the Brandon Area Chamber of Commerce, Brandon Valley Journal, Taco John's, the First National Bank, Pizza Ranch, Brandon Community Foundation, Shoneman Construction, and the Brandon Valley Athletic Boosters. We do not have so the players are still coming into the locker room, and they're going to come out here. We don't have a microphone down there, unfortunately, so we won't be able to hear everything, but we're going to try our best to get the volume jacked up as high as we can so you guys can hear this. Just a really, really fun moment here that's coming. When the Lynx get to welcome their first state championship football team in 20 years almost to the day that they won it.
Yeah, and Mr. Marshall just said that there's a play going on, so they're waiting for some quite a few fans and students that were at the play, and that's just walking distance, obviously, inside here. And I also got to point out, since we have a little bit of time here, is that academically in this school, and I believe it is one of the most important things, and it is the most. I shouldn't say I believe it is the most important thing, but it's the top school, the top public school over the past few years. And we're going to get started here, and here's Mr. Marceau.
Cheerleaders are really worried that nobody is going to participate in the school song with them. So, words, whether you know them or not, you mouth it like you're doing it, because I heard you last night. I heard you guys last night. And if you have a voice left, let's do the school song as we welcome the 11 AAA state champions. I think that's everybody except Isaiah's red shirt that's on its way. Okay. Wow. Let's do this. I want everybody to look up there. The guy in the gray shirt, Paul, just raise your hand there. That's Paul Barrett. He's our high school technology coordinator. And in preparation for this today, he has already done a lot of work. He was here before anybody and had the video board on, and he said, Randy, I gotta show you something. You want to use this? And I am telling you, I stood here, and what you're gonna see for about the next 4.5 minutes is, I was there, I was on the dome floor, and I still got goosebumps. Paul, go ahead. Guys, turn around.
It's first, actually, it's third and goal. Johnson. In. Touchdown.
Thanks, Coach Anderson, for recognizing him. Appreciate it. It's always fun to be able to have a welcome home, and I always struggle with how to put together the program, the agenda. This time, I just wanted to. I want to qualify this by this is not about me. I hate that I have to be up here doing this. I'd rather just give it to coaches and players and let them talk. But somebody has to moderate and get us going. So just a little glimpse into my week and what this week with this team and what they've done for this community and some of the community and booster reps. And you're going to hear a lot of people in here. Ticket sales, and then more ticket sales, and then ticket sales, and ticket requests, and can I get a different seat, and I didn't get them on time, so now where can I go, and how can I do that, and then a trip to Vermillion to go down and get more tickets, because we sold out our student tickets, and we took orders, and I went down and picked those up, and do those kinds of things. T-shirt design and sales, obviously that wasn't me. That was our booster reps, along with Coach Guerro's approval and those kinds of things. You'll hear a whole lot more about booster reps in a little bit. Well over 1,000 t-shirts. Arrange field house practice availability, buses for that kind of thing. Charter buses to Vermillion. It's one thing that, if you noticed, and I'm not, this is not negative towards Sioux Falls, but our district is willing to treat our guys, our teams, going that 50 miles or 60 miles with the class. They send championship teams, championship game teams on charter buses. And just a little bit more. That all comes from central office, from superintendent and business manager, and so we appreciate that support. Working on sideline passes, that's always a treat because everybody wants a sideline pass. Contacted many times Hunter Lacqua, who was our team host down in Vermillion, and asked him questions. Quarterback club on Wednesday, Sunday through Saturday, watching this staff of coaches for about 7 days, watch film, develop a plan, scribble incoherent things that look like football plays on the whiteboard, all of those kinds of things, and then refining those plans after watching practice film and all of those kinds of things that they do. Then you get to yesterday, and you watch as our students come in, and they just do it in an orderly fashion because that's the BB way. And they do it, and they know where they're going to be, and they just huge credit to our students for how they do that. Some of them probably wanted to run because they wanted to get in there and warm up after they'd been tailgating out in 25-degree weather. Then as the adult fans come in and you're going, wow, there's a lot of black up there. Wow, wow, wow. And as it ended up, I estimate that you all outnumbered the Washington people probably about 3-1. And that's from this little hick town outside of St. Louis. I wasn't going to make a video reference, and I did. Dang. They called us Hicks or something, I don't know, whatever it was. What I gather out of that is we always, it's a moniker around here when we talk to other administrators and coaches, we have the best situation in big schools, and that we are a big school, and we have all those benefits, but we still have that town-school connectedness between Valley Springs and Brandon and our other areas outside of those two cities. I saw a team that bust onto the field. If that doesn't get you going, that flag waves, and Isaac, I think you carried it, didn't you? Carry that flag out of the field, and you don't just hear the roar of our fans, student fans on one side, adults up here. You feel it. Down on the floor, you actually, it's a physical feeling that you can feel that noise wave when it hits you. And then that first possession, just methodical, Brandon Valley march down the field, mix and pass with the run, everybody's doing their job, and you score with everybody contributing. Defense, bending but not breaking. E.T. picking off another one. I don't know, that's about $1 million on the year or something, it seems like it. Always in a big situation. Nice job. And then we score. I don't know if everybody realized, but we turned them over 3 times and scored all 3 times on that. That's a rare accomplishment, but it was a huge accomplishment last night. And then that stop at the end of the game, unbelievable feeling. You'd see the guys celebrating already, and people on the sideline going, just wait, they have 2 timeouts, and there's 2 minutes left. Just people wanted to celebrate with me on the sideline. Going, no, let's just get it handed off a couple of times. Thank you, Tate. And then the sweetest call of all from the coach, that victory formation. Then I get to see a championship celebration with class. Thank you to you, thank you to team coaches, how you conducted yourselves during that. I hear there was a fire truck escort and a lighted champion sign out here. I was in La La Land. I wasn't sleeping, but I was trying to get to sleep at that time. I think about it, it's on the clock at 3:10, and I think I finally calmed down about that time. And now we're here. So before I bring up a couple of speakers, I want to give some thank yous. Players, for your commitment, for your class, your champions in many ways. Thank you. Staff, there's nobody better. There's nobody better. I will put this staff against anybody in the world. There is nobody better. This is a football team and a staff that got a football team to play better every week, and that doesn't happen every year. They got better every single week, and that was unbelievable. Booster reps, wow. Those of you know who they are, from t-shirts and meals and hydration and water and Gatorade and snacks in the locker rooms and cookies and chocolate milk one night here on Tuesday and lining up all of those kinds of things. Those football booster reps, those of you who benefited from that, not only the team, but the rest of you with the t-shirts and everything else, you need to really make sure that you thank them. Cheer team, there is absolutely no way when they're cheering that they could even hear themselves. So I don't know how they did what they did, but they were still in unison and they still got those 700 or however many kids were up there to do what they wanted them to do. That's amazing, because there's no way they could hear themselves even think, I don't think. So thank you for that. Where's Chad? Chad, stand up. Ladies, stand up with him. Zach Gillette isn't here. Chad Irvin. And then Harley and Ashley. Harley and Ashley didn't put the guys together, but they took care of them with water and tape and whatever else, all of those kinds of things. And Chad literally put some of these guys back together again. He did that, and he does it with a smile on his face because that's who he is and that's what he does. So thank you to all of you on the support side. Media. Thank you, Jill. Wilma, picture taker, where's Wilma? If some of you saw it, just a second, you gotta know this story, because some of you said, why were you so mad at Wilma at the end of the game? It's because I was on the phone with the South Dakota High School Activity Association saying, Randy, we are not presenting the awards to Brandon Valley if you don't get that mom off the field. And I was on the other side of the team, and I'm saying, John, what are you talking about? She has a media pass on, but she shouldn't be there. So I said, Wilma, get out of here. So thank you, Jill and Wilma, for all that you do. And I'm just about done. To the team, that game will be replayed, and the coaches were already watching it just here. They were rewatching it. You'll replay it many times on TV, but you'll play it a whole lot, parts of that game, a whole lot more in your minds, and probably more so even in your hearts. You will replay that a lot, okay? But I will guarantee you, I will promise you, that you'll forget about the plays, some of the plays, you'll forget about some of that stuff, but you'll never, ever forget the journey. You will never forget the chest bumps, even though we're going to forget. You're not going to forget the locker room time, the travel time. You're not going to forget those kinds of things. Okay? You're not going to forget when we order championship rings next week that the people around you helped you get that. To the seniors, thank you. You left a mark. You left a mark. Okay? But I guarantee you there are people in this room that have probably already moved out to next year because that's the nature of the beast. Okay, seniors, thank you. See you on that. Underclassmen, now the target's on you. And that means you don't just get to sit and say, okay, we did it last year. Your coaches will remind you many, many, many times. But you got to step it up now, because now you're the hunter. Now you're the hunter. Whole lot rather be that than the hunter. So thank you for that. Dr. Larson, I'd like Dr. Larson to come up and speak on behalf of the district, please.
Thank you, Mr. Marceau. First and foremost, congratulations, student athletes, coaches, cheerleaders, well done, managers. I don't know if we have them in or around, but I'm certain they help get the job done. So, first and foremost, congratulations to our student athletes. I want to do just a couple of thank yous as well. Coaching staff, thank you for your time and your commitment to our kids. I want to identify, could all of the families of the coaching staff stand up and rise? And don't shake your head at me. I actually want you to stand up. If you are a family member of the coach, so ladies and gentlemen, what I'm telling you is our coaches put in a tremendous amount of time. Nights, weekends, mornings, the sacrifice that our coaches' families make is tremendous. And I believe that one more giant round of applause for their families and what they allow our coaches to give to our kids. One more time, one big round. thank you to Director Marsa and Director Frecking for all of their work with activities and putting it all together. The work behind the scenes truly is incredible. So, Mr. Marsa, Mr. Frecking. And then the last thank you is it's going to be twofold. It's to you and to our student body. I don't know how you felt when you looked across the way within the dome, whether it was at our student body or whether it was up in our community section. Did you say goosebumps earlier, Randy, about the video? I was awestruck, standing on the sideline, looking into our community section. And I'm not certain 3-to-1 was the right ratio. I think it might have been 4-to-1. So thank you so much for coming out and supporting our kids in such a tremendous fashion. So, I want to introduce the people that matter to you, to our football team. I would leave you with this. It is your commitment and it was your pursuit of excellence that led you to this point today. Build on it and let it propel you forward. I have one award to give out that wasn't given out last night at the Dakota Dome. It's Jack Helgerson. Jack, come on. Jack, I actually have a certificate and a gift certificate for you. They didn't give this out last night. I was on the phone with Dr. Skordos, the executive director of the High School Activity Association, but he said he couldn't authorize it in such a short turnaround. But I just want to say congratulations. You had best hit at the AAA championship game. All right? So, I don't know how the video footage is. That's Dr. Telcott of high school original. You didn't know that. So I was on my way. I was driving in. To the welcome home, and I was thinking to myself, okay. So I got Jack's award. And I've got to give it to him. But undoubtedly, I need to have them redo it live. And then I thought to myself, no, we can't afford the ordinance comp plan. So, anyway, Jack, stop by my office. I got an award for you. And Dr. Telcott, it really looked like it hurt, so just take tomorrow off. All right, lastly, before I leave you, I'd like to pay Coach Garrow and his staff the very best compliment that I can give the staff. And so I've observed you lead and coach our boys for 3 years and interacted with yourself and your staff. And very simply put, at the end of every year, they're going to get the very best version of us. And I'll say that again, and it's just the way that I've come to frame it in my mind. Every year, they're going to get the very best version of us. And what I mean by that is, however the bumps go and however the road goes to the end, he gets the very best out of every one of our kids and puts them in a position to be successful. And this year, the Summit was the AAA championship. Couldn't be prouder to be a Lynx. Great to have you. Go Lynx!
From one doctor to another, Dr. Telcott, you have a short time. We'll take the microphone to him. Always have to give him time limits.
If you're new to us, I'm not going to be short, that's what this is about. First of all, thank you for coming. Certainly, it feels great, kind of, this morning. I don't know what you do when someone comes at you like that. I think I know how that deer felt now. You know, it has been a great week, and if you are new to us, you enjoyed something very special last night. If you're not new to us, you're not surprised. When they talk about how amazing our kids are on the field and off the field, you're not surprised. When you talk about the amazing staff that our kids are surrounded by, you are not surprised. When you are around just a crazy group of student fans, you are not surprised. When you watch them literally walk down the steps to go to where they're supposed to be in an order, you are not surprised. When you watched how the young men performed on the field and all of the effort that they put forth and how they handle themselves and how they carry themselves, you are not surprised. When you saw that the moment was not too big for them, you were not surprised. This is Brandon Valley. We all know what this is. This is a very, very special place because of everybody that makes up this place. We all share an amazing experience, not just last night, but it's the play earlier today, whether it's all the other activities we have. We can go down the list. There's a BV way. And we are so incredibly proud, so lucky. But just one more example of the BV way. Well done, gentlemen.
We flipped coins with 4 captains, and these 2 won. Actually, Cole and Carter believe they won because they don't have to get up here and speak to you. So we're going to give them the mic for as long as, I told them they need to speak between 5 and 10 minutes, but they said they have about 30 seconds worth, so. Andrew Hansen, Jack Hardison.
I'd like to just start out by saying thank you to the community and all our fans. I don't think we'd be in the place we were winning the state championship last night if it wasn't for our fans. You guys are great. Yeah, that's it. And then the student section, they're crazy student section. They were tailgating yesterday from like 11 o'clock in the freezing cold. I don't know why they would do that, but they're crazy. Yeah, they're always there for us, supporting us. So thankful. And we got an amazing team. I love all these guys. We really balled out this year. Got that state championship. That's what we've been talking about since the summertime. We've been talking about winning that state championship, and then we just went out and got it. So it's awesome. Also, thank you to the underclassmen for making it a great senior year. For scout players that may not get all the recognition they deserve, you guys are a huge part of the team. I really appreciate it. I know others do too. And lastly, to our coaches, we'll leave Brandon Valley as state champions, but most importantly, we'll leave as better men, and that's because of them.
I've said this before, I don't know how the coaches and those people all do, they nominate coaches for coaches of the year and assistant coaches of the year. I don't know how Coach Garrett would pick between his assistants on which ones he nominates. I really don't, because I know how much each of those mean to him. But if he's not coach of the year for being the first ever non-Sioux Falls public school to win the AAA, doing what he did, then there's something wrong.
Thanks, guys, and all the players, the fans, coaching staff, and this is always, a difficult time for me. This is my 3rd one. We have these. Now we only do it for champions, it's always a difficult time for me. I'm more nervous to do this than to coach in a championship game. and to speak to everyone and things like that. But just incredibly blessed by these kids and this coaching staff. Thank you for the community and everything. So I'm not going to talk long today. I'm going to do something different that I haven't done before, and these guys don't know of, but I actually would like my assistant coaches, Christensen and Zer, to come up. And I know Zer will have he'll put a lot more fun into this. And he's probably got some things that he can make fun of me about. And I'm totally okay with it. To give you guys another perspective of me, like the game last night and the flag and all those things. But anyways, Coach, sure you want to come up and get this thing started?
Pre-game, we're standing there. Thanks for the prep, Coach Carroll. Really appreciate that. We're standing there pre-game, and there's like 10 minutes to go. And we go back in the locker room. Coach sees in there talking to the defense. And Carroll's messing with the flag, and he's just pissed. It's like it's not working. It's not. Just throws the flag down, walks away. I just walk away from the flag, man. It's gonna be okay. This is the worst thing that happens tonight. Life's gonna be good. It's gonna be awesome. But no, super thankful to be a part of this team, a part of this community. You know, and to see these kids grow up. You know, been here for 7 years, and to watch these seniors were the first kids that I got to meet at Brandon Valley, and to see them grow up and mature into the young men they are is really special. You know, they talk about, you know, Jack made a comment about us, you know, helping them be better people. There's no doubt that is reciprocated for sure. They bring out the best in us because they're so great, and we get to work with them every day. You know, at the end of the day, this all comes down to, you know, to trust in each other, trust in the plan, and you know, to be able to have their trust in what we're doing, in the staff, and to be able to trust them, to put them in situations to be successful, and then watch them go out and just, you know, to ball out and do what they do is incredible. Just to be a part of this staff as the young guy on the totem pole, for sure. You know, yeah, it's a compliment. I'm just young and stupid and just throw out random stuff all the time and get told I'm an idiot, and it's great. Some of it sticks, so it's not all bad. But to know that they've been at this for so many years, and to know the success that a lot of these guys have had, just without having that stamp of champion, state champion, best team in the state of South Dakota. To be able to work with these guys and get that with them, unbelievable, unbelievably blessed. So very thankful for their influence. And you guys, that was awesome. And you'll never forget it. And very thankful and very blessed. So congratulations to you guys, because you absolutely earned every ounce of it. Awesome.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm Matt Christensen. I coach the defense with a lot of excellent coaches. Jeremy Risty has volunteered for 13 years now. Has never gotten a dime, but it's just zillions of hours he puts in for kids. It seems like we always have the best defensive ends in the state. They play the run well, they play the pass well, they know what they're doing. Kent Anderson oversees all the D-line and focuses on the D tackles, who did an incredible job. I don't know if you noticed, but Tupac didn't do a ton last night, especially the screen game, that's when he catches passes, and that really hurt us early, right? The first game, you might have noticed, so compliments to Coach Anderson and the They help keep us all sane on the sideline. We're all signaling. Some of that means absolutely nothing. I maybe picked up on that. Hopefully other teams don't. And it gets a little hectic on the headset. And Coach Brees is upstairs keeping us all calm and keeping all the DBs, defensive backs, the guys who intercept passes. We got them 25 or pushing 30 this year. So that's really cool. But he keeps it all going. So that's Dylan Brees. Please clap for him. Matt Mueller doesn't have to coach varsity football. He coaches freshman football, but he just says, I'm going to keep coaching football because competing is fun. He's a competitive guy. And he was critical last night to making sure we all did the right stuff, so clap for Matt, even as I did. Just a couple things I've talked about, quarterback club and in the locker room, that it's just a gigantic classroom, you know. It just happens to be a place in which we get to compete with other schools, like on the same playing surface at the same time. And it's just a place in which so many things are learned. And it happens to be a classroom in which you get bruises. Andrew Hansen doesn't have skin where you can't see bruises. It's incredible what he does for the team and what he can do for the team. And just these kids, people keep asking me or texting me and Facebooking and all the time. 83 messages last night was nuts. Oh man, you coach the church. No, it's the kids who can make the tackles, the kids who can make the plays. It's the kids, it's the players, and they just keep making the job fun, and they love to compete. They love to. It's risky to go out there and do what you guys have done for each other. And it's not to be an industry guy or a scout guy. And I don't know if you noticed, but they put in some time. They put in more time than kids have ever put in, I think. And so just know that you have our respect with that, guys, and that you did it unselfishly. If you can't contribute to a cause like that, you're just not the best person, you know, you can be. And moving forward, they'll all be better people for having, you know, played on this team and played together in this way, I think. They'll be the type of people I want to know, you know, as they grow up, and the type of people you want to hire and be with. So the cheerleaders are really awesome and really cool, and I'm just so grateful for you guys. I don't really hear much during the game, but I can definitely see it's insane, like absolutely bonkers. And it matters that you invest the time, the money, you sacrifice the cold. We sat on the bus for about a half hour just kind of wondering about the tailgaters, didn't we? We're on this nice warm bus, but they're still suffering and cheering. Friends is wearing overalls. Did you wear those overalls in the cold? He had stuff under. Okay, Friends is an all-time legend. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the support, that you support the cause. That is a really good one. And so I'm just really thankful for the players that will do what we ask of them and then more. You know, it's a cool situation to be a part of. And you know, without competition in life, it's hard to find something, you know, as rewarding as that you compete, you get beat. Of course, you're going to lose all the time, but like Coach Garrett's one of his favorite quotes is that it's not in the winning that you succeed or grow. I mean, it's in defeat and it's in adversity that you really test and that you really come to be awesome. So, thanks again, and especially thanks to Coach Garrett because he's an awesome football coach. And he's left us all and gives us a really great chance to succeed for the kids. So, thanks.
Thanks, guys. I didn't mean to put you in the spot. I do it quite frequently, don't I? The mic knows often during a game, you know, it might be third and forever or whatever. What do you got? What do you got? just again, thanks. My only, just guys that just so appreciative and I love all these guys. Just so that's about it. I would encourage everyone to, for me to make sure you eat a burger tomorrow. National Burger Day tomorrow.
I think when he retires, he's going to be a food critic. Cheerleaders, can we get you up here one more time? We're going to finish, folks, with the school song, and when we're done, our booster parents, football boosters have cookies and cake and all of those kinds of things. Trophy is up here, please. Take pictures, do those kinds of things, hang around, use garbage cans when you're done, because otherwise somebody has to pick it up, and I will be one of those somebodies, so please help us with that, yeah. There's a big special on this championship run coming out in the Journal on Wednesday. So you're gonna wanna make sure you buy extras. If you don't have a subscription, buy a subscription, okay? School song, and then we are dismissed. Thank you all. Thank you. First thing we're going to do, seniors. We want to